Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Em, and today is the start of another reading vlog. So if you are a fantasy or a sci-fi reader, I'm sure you know that the finalist for the Hugo Awards was announced last week. When I'm filming this, who knows by the time I get this up. And I read the finalists for the Hugos every year. I read the novels and the novellas for sure. And then sometimes I branch out and do the graphic novels, or I'll do like some of the novelettes. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that this year. I'm going to read some of the graphic novels, but not all of them. But there's a couple series like Once and Future I'm already reading along, and this is kind of my reminder that there's a new volume out to read. And then I am already reading Monstrous, so again, my kind of reminder that, oh yeah, there's new volumes out that I can read. So I'll continue with those ones. I might read the Supergirl one just because it looks good, but we'll see. I haven't really made up my mind yet, but that's not what this vlog is about. This vlog is about the novellas, which honestly is my favorite category. I love the Hugo novellas every year. And this year I have read almost all of them already. But I read them all last year and don't really remember very much about them. Other than that, for the most part, I really liked them. So I thought it might be fun to just reread most of them and vlog about it and then talk about it. And so that's what we're gonna do. Let's go over these novellas. So I have 5 of them, and I have the 6th one on order at my local indie, and it will be here in a couple of days, but I don't have it right now, but I'll put it up somewhere, wherever I decide to put the covers. So the first one is Into the Riverlands by Nevo. Then we also have What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, Where the Drowned Girls Go by Shauna McGuire, Even Though I Knew the End by C.L. Polk, Mirror Mended by Alex E. Harrow, and this is the one I have not read, Ogres by Adrian Tchaikovsky. So that's the TBR for this vlog. I'm not sure where I'm gonna start. I kind of want to reread What Moves the Dead first because Summerween just ended, but I'm still kind of in a horror space. And I haven't listened to this on audio yet, and I have the audiobook, so that might be a fun time. Or I might start Ogres, because honestly, I'm already listening to something on audio, and this is like the only one that is not available on audio, and so I might start with this one. I've only read one Adrian Tchaikovsky. I read Elder Race of Elders. I can't remember. I do know, because I could not remember the first time I read it, that whatever is the wrong title is a steamy indie published romance series. That is not the one I read. I read the Adrian Tchaikovsky one. Was this last year or the year before? Honestly, all the Hugo years are starting to run together. I might have been last year, and I didn't like it very much. Like, the writing was fine. There was just, I just struggled with it. I think it was just a not the right book for me problem. So this is going to be Adrian Tchaikovsky's second shot with me. And this will probably decide on whether or not I give him a third shot, or if I just decide he is not the right author for me. This one's not very chunky. I had a friend read another one of his books and one of his novellas, and she had a really good time with it. So I'm hoping that Ogres will be a fun time, but I have no idea. What is this even about? Looks like the world is filled with it looks like there's villages that are ruled by landlords, and the landlords are ogres. And sometimes they eat people. So, I don't know. Okay, we're gonna start with this. I will not update halfway. These novellas are so stinking short. I'm just gonna update when I'm done. And let's just, I really want to have a good time. Fingers crossed that I like this. Okay. Okay, well, I finished it. I didn't like it, but I think I need more time to figure out how to properly articulate what I didn't like about it. So stay tuned. I have to get ready for our day. So let's talk about ogres while I do that. And please, nobody judge how I do my makeup. I don't care if it's right. It's just what works for me at this point in my life. Okay, let's talk. All right, first of all, I will acknowledge I went into this with maybe not preconceived notions, but I definitely I kind of had an attitude going into it, knowing how I felt about the other novella I've read by Adrian Tchaikovsky. So I maybe didn't go into it with as open of a mind as I could go into, but it just is what it is. I'm human. I am biased. It's a book. It is what it is. Anyways, start off with, this book is told in second person, which generally I do not like. Second person present, more importantly, which is, I think, a really hard tense to pull off and not sound super pretentious. And I've only read 2 books where that style of narration has worked for me, and that one is Harrow the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, and the other is an N.K. Jemisin book. I think one of the Broken Earth trilogy books, but I can't remember which one. Anyways, so I don't have a great track record with that. And then the other thing that I didn't like is that our protagonist is a young man. Tchaikovsky never says exactly what age he is, but I would guess like he's 17, maybe 18 at the beginning of the book. And he is arrogant. He's a white bro. I don't even know how else to describe it, but that's just how he is. And so it's not a super fun for me. It was not a fun viewpoint to be in. And he lives in this village, and his father is like the head man of the village. And it's pretty like kind of quaint, not exactly medieval, but kind of that style. And it's really patriarchal and religious, and everyone is a vegetarian. Humans don't eat meat any longer, or don't eat meat at all, and are actually allergic to it. And everything in the village is fine unless they get a visit from their landlord, and the landlords in this world are all ogres. And when the landlords come to visit, then, everyone's expected to scrape and bow to them, and the head man is expected to host this lavish meal in his house. It's a very like serf and lords style dynamic. And our main character, Torkel, doesn't like it. He like gets irritated that the ogres get so much preference and that they get to rule over the humans the way they do. And he just has never liked it. But then this time when their landlord comes, he brings his son with him, and his son is about Torkel's age and has a similar amount of arrogance that Torkel has, and it just rubs Torkel the wrong way. And there is a thing that happens that leads Torkel into murdering the son of the landlord, and things go from there. And what I didn't love about it is that first of all, the thing that kept bothering me, because it kept popping up, is that the ogres refer to the humans as monkeys, which, as we know, has a very like racist connotation for, in the real world. Like, calling another human being a monkey has generally been reserved for like a racial slur from white people to Black people. So I didn't like that. It's rubbing me the wrong way. And I don't know, there's been this thing I've been bumping up into with books by white authors where they're doing things with enslaved people in their books, but the enslaved people are always white. And I don't know if we're trying to work through something as white people or what it is, but I don't love it. I don't dig it. It feels a little bit like white people, like there is a certain brand of white person who is really looking to be marginalized and victimized, and I don't love it when I see that in books, because I'm like, what are we doing? I don't know what we're doing, but some people are doing it. And then the rest of the book is really Torkel finding out why things are the way they are and how the world has changed and why he is exceptional among humans. This is kind of a chosen one story. There was a twist at the end, and the twist is why I kept going, because I was checking Storygraph, and one of the reviews with Storygraph was like, well, it was a mediocre book, but then the twist at the end was really good, so make sure you read the last 3 pages. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I have to finish it now. And it was interesting. Yeah, fine, sure. It was a twist. It wasn't enough to redeem the book, the whole book, for me. I gave Daughter of Dr. Moreau, I read it for Summerween, I gave that 2 stars. So now I have to decide if this is lower than a 2 star, but lower than a 2 star is a 1 star, and a 1 star means I should have DNF'd. Oh God, it's probably a 1 star. But I will say, it's not that the writing is bad. Like, I think Adrian Tchaikovsky strings words together fine. I do think his style does not work for me because I struggle not to comprehend his words, but I struggle to follow him in a way I don't struggle with writers who I think write more complex books than what I've read from him so far. So I don't think he is a good mix for me for multiple reasons, but specifically Ogres was I really should have DNF'd it. All the reviews on, well, not all of them, but most of the reviews on Storygraph are pretty positive. It's got a pretty high average rating. The reviews do tend into that land of Adrian Tchaikovsky's a genius and he's one of the best writers writing today. And so the reviews are generally very effusive. So I don't know, that always is like harder for me. Like I prefer books when there are a varied mix of reviews. I feel like when it's either a excessive amount of praise or an excessive amount of critique, that it's not entirely accurate. So there's that. But if there are words that I've said as I'm talking about this that you're like, wow, that I like what you're saying, then pick it up. It may be a great fit for you. It seems like it's a great fit for a lot of people. I think this is just a case of he is not the right author for me, and I need to stop picking up his books, even if they're not nominated for Hugos in the future. I just need to stop feeling compelled to pick them up, because at this point, 2 in, I don't think they're going to be for me. I don't think I'm in the intended audience. I don't think generally what he is going to have to say is going to resonate with me. And there are other authors that I would rather spend my time on. So with that out of the way, let's move on to something that I'll actually have a good time with. I am not going to reread A Mirror Mended because I don't think I can read 2 books that I don't care for in one video. It'd be too depressing. So I will talk about this one right now. I read this, well, I read it and I listened to it because I think the narrator who does this series is really good and really probably made Spindled Splintered for me. I don't remember her name, but she's fantastic. And I really loved A Spindled Splintered, so I was really excited for this one. But my problem is that this takes place 5 years after A Spindled Splintered, and I feel like our main character, Zin, is emotionally and mentally in the exact same space she was in during A Spindle Splintered. So this is following pretty much the exact same journey she went on in that book. I felt like there wasn't any growth. I feel like we were just repeating the lessons that she learned in that first book. And so that was really disappointing because I really wanted to see Zin. I wanted to see how that had previous experience had made her grow and change. I was really disappointed that we didn't have any forward momentum. And then also there is a thing in here with a Wicked Queen, and I didn't love how that played out either. I mean, I'm a big fan of like getting the other side of the story, but I didn't really feel like there was another side of the story in here. The Wicked Queen was still wicked. She's still trying to do bad things, and it was not what I was hoping for. So not necessarily a bad book, but just didn't live up to what I was hoping for in a sequel. And I don't even remember what I gave this book. And I wasn't using Storygraph at the time. So I think I probably gave this a 3, maybe a 2.75. Because again, the writing's not bad. It's just the character work and the plot wasn't what I wanted going into it. I think in general, this one gets really mixed reviews. I think that the general consensus for this one, for readers who really loved A Spindle Splintered, was disappointment. I don't know that I've actually seen a super positive review for this one, but it could exist. I don't know. Who knows? So I am not going to be rereading this one. All right, so I think next I am going to pick up What Moves the Dead because my heart always wants more T. Kingfisher. Oh, well, hi friends. It is, what is today? Does it matter? I don't think it matters. It's the next day. And I finished What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher a little bit ago. And is it weird to say that this was kind of a cozy reread? It felt like kind of a comfort read, which I don't know. I don't know. That's just where my brain's at. Anyways, this is wonderful. This is a extension on The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe. And in this, Alex Easton is our narrator, and Alex is a retired soldier and going to visit their friend Madeline Usher, who has written them a letter saying that she's been ill and her brother Roderick is convinced that she's dying, asking if Alex would come and visit them. And so Alex is just about at the house, and they have stopped to look at this mushroom, and they're about to poke it with a stick like you do. And this really lovely woman named Miss Potter stops them basically and is like, you don't want to do that, and proceeds to have a lovely conversation with Alex about fungi in general. And so Alex gets to the house and Madeline looks not good, and Roderick is really upset. And then Roderick's also invited a friend of his who is an American doctor to visit to kind of get a second opinion about Madeline. And it quickly becomes apparent that there is something off with the lake and the animals that live around the lake. And it's not scary. Creepy, maybe. There is definitely some imagery with like mushrooms and fungus that, you know, if that's something that super creeps you out, just good to know going in. And I had such a good time with it. It was so fun. It's super quick read. The audiobook is really great. I think the narrator does a good job. It's interesting though, this definitely takes place in England and the narrator is definitely American. The first time I really clocked the difference was Alex Easton is a retired lieutenant, and the narrator says lieutenant instead of lieutenant. Is that how you say it? How they say it in England? Yeah, lieutenant. And that's where I caught it the first time. I was like, that's not accurate. And oddly enough, the narrator only does an accent for the character that has like the Scottish accent. Everybody else just has an American accent. So I guess I would not recommend the audiobook if that's going to bother you. But I had a fine time with the narrator. I just thought that was interesting because usually, you know, books set in Britain, you get a British narrator. Or at least somebody who can do a really good accent. So anyways, that's done. I double checked my story graph and I gave it a 4.5 star when I first read it. And I think that's still a perfectly reasonable rating. So moving on, I'm about halfway through. I'm going to read Where the Drowned Girls Go by Seanan McGuire next. This is book whatever in the Wayward Children series. Let's see, what just came out this year? Was that 8 or 9? So this is book 7 in the Wayward Children series. And I remember really liking this one. The series alternates. And so a book will be at the school, and then the next book will be in a door, or through a door in a world. And then the next book will be back at the school, and it goes on like that. And so this book, we are in a school, but we leave Eleanor's school and go somewhere else. And I remember really loving that we got to go somewhere else, and that this one feels like we have an actual villain, an actual bad guy, as opposed to just like maleficent characters. So no, malevolent characters. There we go. I got it. I'm gonna do this one next. Yeah, and I'll come back when I'm done. Where the Drowned Girls Go. Oh, I like this one so much. So I think I gave a little bit of an overview, but in this one, we are with Cora, and Cora is from, or has gone to a world called the Trenches, where she's been a mermaid. And there are events that happened in previous books that you kind of need for context for where Cora is now. But basically Cora had a really traumatic experience in a previous book, and she wants to forget, and she wants for her door to let go of her and to move on. And so there is another school called Whitethorn Institute, and she basically convinces Eleanor, who runs the home for wayward children, to let Cora transfer to this other school, because it is said at this other school, they don't acknowledge the existence of the doors, and she wants to stop being reminded that this world exists. And so she goes, and it is not what Cora thought. And she realizes she made a mistake almost as soon as she gets there. And I really love this one. There's a content warning, though, for so much fat phobia. And Cora having to navigate all of that. And it's one of those things where, like, as somebody who, when they were younger, was a bigger size and was considered socially acceptable, like, I really feel, and it really resonates for me, the way Cora is made fun of, and the way she's mocked, and the names that she's called, and the way she's judged. That all hits so hard. And for me, I feel seen, and it's cathartic. Obviously, that's not going to be the case for everyone, so do take that into consideration going in, if that's something that is really hard for you to deal with content-wise. I really liked it. I don't like the fat phobia, but I like the representation. I like the conversation Seanan McGuire is having about fat phobic comments and how hurtful they are and how untrue they are and how they're based in lies and misconceptions. I really like this. It's not quite a 5-star because I have other Wayward Children books that are 5 stars, and this isn't quite there, but I do really like it. And also, if you saw the cover reveal for book 9 with the dinosaurs, the girl that went to the land of the dinosaurs is in this book, so that was a good reminder. That will be very helpful when the next book comes out. So now we gotta pick which one I am reading next. So we're down to 2 more, Into the Riverlands. And even though I knew the end, I'm tempted to do Into the Riverlands next because it is oh so very short. And I remember really loving this 4th installment in the Singing Hills cycle. So I think I'm gonna go with this one. And then, ooh, do I want, even though I knew the end, to be the last one I read, or do it? I'm gonna go with Into the Riverlands. Okay. And again, I will check back when I finish. Oh, should I say what this one's about? Do I remember what this one is about? So in the previous 3, Cleric Chi has been listening to other people's stories, and in this one, they are required to actively participate in what will become a story, I think. But we'll see how accurate I am when I finish. All right, so I just got a belated birthday present in the mail. My almost sister-in-law sent me a gift card for my birthday, and this is such a funny thing to be excited about. But I've been lifting weights at the gym for almost a year, and I've gotten to the point where I'm getting stronger, but the weights are exceeding my grip strength. And so I got weight hooks so that I can lift heavier. So I like put this on my wrist, and then the hook part goes in my hand, and then for things like deadlifts or like lat pull downs, I don't have to worry about my grip because this is gonna help me hold on. And not book related, so sorry, but I am really excited to use these because I've been struggling with this for a couple of months now, and I've really been wanting to get stronger. That's super exciting. All right. Next update will be bookish related, I promise. All right, I am sad to report there's nowhere quiet for me to do this update, so it just is what it is. I finished Into the Riverlands. This series is so good. There are 4. I think the 5th comes out this fall, but they are meant to all stand alone, so you can jump in wherever you want to. They all follow Cleric Chi, who is a monk from Singing Hills, and they travel around with, gosh, it's a very specific type of bird that I can't remember what she's called, but her name's Almost Brilliant, and they travel around collecting stories. And I think I said this in my intro for this book, but in this one, she is kind of forced to actively participate in a story, which is not something they've done yet. And I just love Nevo's writing. It's so pretty. The way she chooses words is just gorgeous. Her characters are so wonderful. Like, I love Chi and Almost Brilliant. And my least favorite of these novellas is the one where Almost Brilliant isn't in it. I think it's the 3rd one. Or is this the 3rd one? There are only 3. I guess this is the 3rd one. It just felt like there were more. So Almost Brilliant isn't in When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain. Okay, yeah, I misspoke. Did I just speak? There is editing. Emily will figure it out. This is only 100 pages, so I can't say a lot without spoiling it, but Nevo's character work is just fantastic. I love all the secondary characters almost as much as I love Chi. You have different secondary characters in each book, and I just love them all so much. I love how Nevo weaves stories throughout all of these books. I love what the stories say about us and who we are and what we hold dear. And it's such a wonderful, wonderful series. I gave this a 4 the first time, and now I'm trying to understand what I was like, why? I don't know. but I did. But I don't get it. I love beautiful writing, poignant stories. This is so short and sweet. And I don't know, it just makes me feel better about humanity. All right, not only is the whole house loud, the whole house is also messy. So I'm just trying to find, there you go, angles that don't show. All right, so we're on to the last book for this project, Even Though I Knew the End by C.L. Polk. Again, this is a reread. This is noir fantasy, and I already love C.L. Polk. I have read and loved the Kingston Cycle, which is their fantasy trilogy. Oh, it's one of my favorites. It's so good. Definitely not for everybody, but like I think if you like A Marvelous Light by Freya Marsk, you would probably like C.L. Polk's Kingston Cycle. Is that what it's called? So I already knew I was going to read this, but then I heard Polk on an episode of Breaking the Glass Slipper talking about how they were trying to like do noir without the misogyny, and I just love listening to them speak, and I was super curious, and I remember liking it, not as much as I love their full-length fantasy, but I still remember liking it. I'm gonna start this. I'm in the middle of getting dinner ready, and then we're gonna eat. I have tomorrow off, so I'm hoping I'll be able to finish this by tomorrow. Spend Saturday getting this video updated and then get it uploaded by Sunday. Fingers crossed. Good morning, everyone. So it is Friday. I don't know if I mentioned that I started this on Monday, but anyways, it's Friday. Happy Friday. I finished Even Though I Knew the End this morning. And I teared up at the end, and I definitely did not tear up the first time I read it. I don't know, those last like 2 sentences just hit a little differently this time. I think I would still give it a 4-star. I feel like it's too short, which I kind of feel the same way about Into the Riverlands. I do feel like this is too short too. Even though, I don't know, I just feel like there could be more, and we're just barely scratching the surface. And I feel the way here too. I feel like we're barely scratching the surface of this world Polk has built, and I really hope that they write more in this world in the future. A full-length novel would be amazing. It doesn't even have to be about these characters, but just it kind of reminded me of Shadowhunters, but like for grown-ups. This is about Helen, who is an inspector, but an inspector for supernatural cases. She used to be part of this organization of magical type people, and then she got kicked out because she did something you were not supposed to do, and she sold her soul to a demon. Let me back up. This takes place in Chicago, and there's been a string of murders across the city, and the news outlets are calling it the White City Vampire, because the victims are being just drained of all their blood. And so Helen is recruited by Marlowe, who is a demon who has gotten a hold of Helen's soul from the demon that Helen traded it to in exchange for saving someone she loves. And Helen and Marlowe make a deal that if Helen finds the White City Vampire, Marlowe will give her back her soul. So it's a detective story, it's a murder mystery, it's got angels, it's got demons. It is a religious undertone because of the nature of angels and demons. So if you have some religious trauma, this might not be the best choice for you to read, but I really loved it. I'm not religious myself, but I didn't really grow up religious, but I grew up like religious adjacent. Like we have family members who are very religious, and I grew up in a very religious community, so like being like the kid who wasn't religious was not the best time. But because of being raised adjacent to all of that, I find conversations about faith very interesting. And especially when it's utilized in fantasy, I feel like there's usually some really interesting things that come up, and I feel like C.L. Polk handles it really well. And Helen is gay, and so her girlfriend is her like partner in crime, gumshoe sidekick in this. I did like it. Did I like it more than I did the last time? I don't know. I might have, just because I understood the world building a little bit better this time. I remember I missed some things last time. Okay, and with that, we have come to the end of this video of reading all 6 of the Hugo finalists for the novella category. And final thoughts. While I did enjoy 4 of these, I'm not super impressed with this particular list. I don't know exactly who I would want on here in its place, but like most years, 5 out of the 6 are from Tor. I mean, What Moves the Dead is from Nightfire, but that's a Tor imprint. So, you know, they're all from Tor, which is usually how it goes. But I appreciate that there are other fantasy awards that have novellas that get nominated from smaller publishing houses or just people that aren't Tor. I love Tor. They're definitely one of my favorite publishers. And they've definitely got a lock on the novella market, but I like to read from other places as well. I totally get why all 6 of these are nominated. I feel like these are all Hugo darlings author-wise. These are all authors who are on routinely. Like Nevo is nominated every time she has a book out. I feel like C.L. Polk pops up somewhere on the list. I think the Kingston Cycle was nominated for Best Series every year it was eligible. Shauna Maguire is always on there. T. Kingfisher, I am going to imagine, is going to be on there subsequent years. If House for Good Bones is not a finalist next year, I'll be shocked. Same with Alex E. Harrow and Adrian Tchaikovsky. And I think the important thing to remember with the Hugos is that it is a popularity contest. It's not like other awards where there is a panel of judges and they're industry professionals and, you know, they're looking for people who are doing something new or noteworthy in the genre. Like, this is a fan, like a pay-to-play fan-based voting system. So while I do think awards should be based on books and authors doing something different, that's not what the Hugos are. So I don't feel like that's a fair criteria to use when looking at these books. And I don't even know, like, I think these 4 are all pretty even in terms of quality of writing, story, content, character development, all that stuff. I feel like these 4 authors are pretty evenly matched, at least for where my taste falls. And then obviously these 2 were just big misses for me. So if we're gonna rate them in terms of enjoyment, I hate that I do this, but I'm gonna do it because, you know, why not? Obviously Ogres is at the bottom of the pile because I did not enjoy that at all. And Mirror Mended is next, though Mirror Mended is a much higher rating than Ogres got. Okay. From there, I think I'm gonna do Even Though I Knew the End. But from Even Though I Knew the End up, I think every single one of these books I gave a 4-star. So they're all pretty evenly ranked. And then Into the Riverlands, just because it's so short. I wish that one was longer. And then What Moves the Dead, and then Where the Drowned Girls Go. That's it. I do love that 5 out of the 6 are queer. Love that. I wish there's a little bit more diversity in this stack. 2 authors of color out of 6 isn't great. The Hugo novel list is even worse though. I think that's my rating. All right. If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching and spending your precious time with me. And if you have read any of these, if you have thoughts, if you have feelings, if you have opinions, let me know. I would love to discuss them with you in the comments. If you want to leave an emoji, let's do a rabbit emoji. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, rest of your week, and that you read something you really love. All right. Bye, friends.